Good afternoon. My name is Celia Lacayo, here with LA Social Science, continuing our amazing book series. I am the Associate Director of Community Engagement and teach in the Chicano Central American Studies and African American Studies Department. Today, we have an amazing critical book by Brenda Stevenson, who is the Nickel Family Endowed Chair and Professor in the Department of History and African American Studies. Her book is entitled What Sorrows Labor in My Parents' Breast, A History of the Enslaved Black Family. Hi, Brenda. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Great, thank you. So let's get underway. Let us know what has been the genesis of this book.
Well, I've always worked on family and Black family in particular. My first book was a comparative study of Black and white families in the American South. And so during the period of enslavement, I wanted, though, to go back and to address some of the lingering questions, etc., about what I thought were still there with regard to Black families in the American South during the period of slavery. My first book really focused on was a localized study. This is a much larger study and a longer study. It begins really in Western Central Africa, looking at family there, and it follows those persons who were enslaved to North America, regardless of whatever colonies they were going to, whether they were French or British or Dutch or Spanish. And it looks at the development of family among enslaved people in all of those colonial societies, and then follows them through to the American Revolution, the establishment of the nation, and then to the antebellum period, which we mostly identify with as the period of slavery, which is 1820 to 1860. So I wanted to just go back and look at take a larger view of the enslaved Black family. The earlier work, as I said, was a smaller view of it.
Wonderful. So can you share with us the main argument and the main contribution of the book?
The main argument of the book is that the enslaved Black family existed. And not only did it exist, but it's central to every aspect of the enslaved person's lives. Oftentimes we think about Black families today and people describe our families, as non-existent, as dysfunctional, as problematic, etc. And so I really wanted the broad audience to understand that we do have families. These are families that might look in some ways differently from other families, but we come from a different place. We come from the continent of Africa, and that these families are essential to our identity, to our social world, to our lives, to our existence, to our striving forward and accomplishing much in a society in which we are often marginalized and discriminated against.
Thank you. So in the book, you talk about loss, recovery, and resilience. Can you elaborate on their importance, please?
Well, one of the most important things to understand about enslaved Black families is that these are families that are not like other families. They're not like the families of the free people, for example. These are people who have lost their families in Western Central Africa and forced to go to another place to reestablish their families again. And they do that. I mean, that's what's essential to understand, is that loss certainly took place, and it continued to take place as families were separated and sold apart, etc., both during the African slave trade as well as the domestic slave. But they recovered in the sense that they created new families, they created new family traditions, they remarried, had children, etc. And so there is loss, but there's also recovery.
So, how does the vastness of all your sources provide insight to the Black history, Black family, and Black identity?
Well, I really wanted to make certain that whoever read the book would hear the voices of those people enslaved, whether or not it was a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, a grandfather, an aunt, etc., that they would hear those voices and that they would hear them across time from the 17th century, to the end of the Civil War, and across space from not only the British colonies but also the French colonies, also the Dutch, and as well as the Spanish colonies and the French colonies in North America. And they would hear these voices across the generations, and they would see the linkages of the importance of family family across these generations. So I tried to use every kind of document that I could find to bring those voices out, whether or not they were, Bibles, whether or not they were photographs, whether or not they were pottery that had been made. I found this amazing piece of pottery that had been made celebrating an enslaved person's marriage, in Georgia, and as well as pieces of cloth that they made, who they made it for, letters, diaries, etc. Of course, the narratives that they produced while enslaved, after they escaped slavery or after they were freed, those that were taken in the 1930s from the last generations of enslaved people. I wanted those voices as anywhere I could find the voices, I wanted to present them to the audience so that no matter what, they would hear these people speak about their family experiences, how it influenced, it was part of their lives, and how important it was to them.
Wonderful. You had mentioned a little bit about this before, about even though this is a historical account and is so critical to know about it today. So, how does this book pertain to contemporary times, and why is this a critical book for everyone to read, and certainly for professors to assign to their students?
Well, I hope that professors will assign it to students. I hope other people will read it as well, because it does really speak to the humanity of Black people. That's something that our society is hard pressed to sometimes recognize and to respect. Everyone, though, can associate themselves with family and the importance of family. What's important, I think, for my readership is to understand that Black people who are descended from, enslaved people are no different from anybody else. Family is something that is so precious and so valuable. It's something that has colored every part of our lives, and that has informed every part of our lives. And you can see the struggles that Black people went through and the most devastating circumstances that they went to remain a part of a family, or to put together another family, to have another family. We could not exist without family. And I think that's what, I want people to understand, that our families are precious and important to us in the ways that they are to everyone else in our society.
We really thank you for your time today, Brenda, and your amazing book that is going to have and continue to have an impact. Again, I'm Celia Lacayo. Please subscribe to LA Social Science to get all the cutting edge research. Thank you. Have a great day.